Oh, what's up guys? This is Captain Daniel Kim. In today's video, I'm gonna answer the truth about our dating coaches, aka pickup artists, or all this stuff that, I guess in a way it's my job, right? Because on my Instagram I say dating coach. Are we scam artists? Are we fake? Are we full of BS? So the answer is yes and no. So, okay. My story is, guys, let me open up real quick so you know where I'm coming from. I actually was a student of the game, or I was a student of dating coaches before. Why? Because I used to be fat and ugly. And I remember when I lost the weight, I actually, naturally you could say, ended up dating my first true love, right? And I think it was because of my last video I talked about idea of familiarity, where we became best friends. And when I was fat, she did not see me as a friend, but when I lost the weight, she definitely saw me more as a potential candidate. And what happened with that story was, like, we just spent a lot more time, and by my senior year of high school, we ended up dating. But obviously I lost her. She actually ended up cheating on me. And yeah, so I actually got into game at age 21. I read the book called The Game, and I remember I went to a military academy. And long story short, I had money because they gave us money in the military academies, and I spent almost $5,000 at that age, which was when I was 21, which was 2012. So imagine like how much money that was as a 21-year-old. And I walk into a hotel room. There's a 40-year-old doctor, 40-year-old lawyer, and a 45-year-old computer engineer, and 21-year-old college student, right? And I remember, these are what we call boot camps, and they still exist today, but it's not as crazy as it was back in the day. But boot camps are 3 days where we do Friday, usually a lesson, go out. Saturday, we do a lesson, we go out all day, and then Sunday we do either day game and then whatever. So, I'm telling you all the secrets of what a dating boot camp was, because this is the inside scoop, right? Because I used to be a student. And to be honest, why I went into the industry as a student was because I was desperate. I really wanted my first love back. Like, it wasn't me about, a lot of people think pickup art is just about manipulating girls, getting a lot of girls and stuff, and sleeping around as much. But my genuine intention at the time, I really loved this girl. I actually wanted to get married to her. So my thing was, how do I get her to love me back? And when I first got it, I actually thought it was like the Matrix, the red pill and the blue pill. And if I take one of the pills and I learn all this, right, I thought I could literally look at the girl and I say these lines that were given to me by this dating coach, that the girl would just come to me, right? That's literally what I thought, right? I literally was like, oh my God, I just say these lines. I do what, in the book called The Game did, and I can get the girls and they'll just come to me, they'll want me, all that stuff. And I remember the first night as a 20-year-old, I got really called out by the dating coach. He literally was like, you're so cocky, you think you'll get girls like that. Because what happened is actually a Friday night. And I remember we did our cold approach, and I actually saw the coach. And I remember I saw the coach, and he wasn't a good-looking guy, but he didn't look like a stud at all. But I remember him just getting rejected consistently. And if anyone knows who this guy is, I actually want to give him a shout, because he actually humbled me. And his name is Fader. He was part of a group called Love Systems. I think they're way gone now. But I remember I took a boot camp with him, and I called him out the next day. I was like, dude, you got no girls. You actually got rejected a lot. Because I saw him get rejected. I used to think that a dating coach or a pickup artist would just look at a girl and get a girl, right? And I saw this guy. He had a medical issue called a gout too. So his stomach was protruding out. And I was like, there's no way this guy got girls. But then I thought on the first day, on Friday, if he got girls, then I could get girls. That's what I thought. Like, this guy is physically not attractive at all. But honestly, that night, even the coach, kind of struggled. And this is where I think scams come in, where like a lot of the students that, come to me, they won't want to pay the money unless I prove them. And the worst thing that I hate doing is because of my personal life. And I know there's some coaches who market their women. And I know one coach or two coaches got in trouble for posting these videos of them sleeping with the women or doing that. I don't do that personally. That's not, first of all, I think that's illegal, but I personally don't do that. And I personally don't like showing any of the women. And now I personally don't. I really don't do that, just because the students should just trust me in a way, especially if we work together and I go out with them. They should trust me on that, and I'll prove it to them. But I think the biggest thing was I didn't like showing, the girls I dated to a student, because that's my personal life, right? And it's kind of like the woman's privacy too. But anyway, the long story, like, I was a student, so I didn't care. I didn't have to show people my results. But the coach, I called him out the next day. I was like, hey, honestly, you got rejected too. I said that to him, and I didn't say it in a cocky way, but he tore me a new butthole, man. Like he just said, like, you're so cocky, you think this is a magic pill, you gotta work hard. And I remember he got pretty heated to me, and it kind of made me want to quit, to be honest, because I was like, what the heck? Because I remember I had a tough night Friday night. I remember like the fondest memory I have, I guess, of the boot camps, or the most memorable one, and not in a good way, was I approached these two blonde girls, and I remember I approached them, and I tried saying something, and I did, but they didn't even look at me. They literally like stared at each other, and they didn't even look at me. And I remember like they didn't even acknowledge that I exist. And it's not that women are evil, but that was pretty harsh. I honestly remember that rejection. I was like, damn, like they didn't even acknowledge that I existed. And I think I was more butthurt on Friday. And then on Saturday, my coach literally well, everyone was older than me, right? They're 35, 48 to 45-year-olds, and I was 21 years old, and I was just getting into this. So I kind of was like depressed. I literally was depressed. And honestly, Saturday night, I didn't want to go out. And then I remember there was a doctor, and he actually had he was a good looking dude. He was jacked, and he was a white dude. And I remember he kind of like said, I'll come pick you up. He saw that I was down, and he kind of told me these things. And he said that like, even he's a successful doctor, and even he's learning the game. And it kind of like showed me that, he kind of told me that I was going on the right track. And I'm not just saying this to you guys to like, it's a true story, right? This is my life. And he said that you learning this at such a young age, and learning how to date women, because let's be real, like once we hit puberty, guys, we all want to date the most beautiful woman in the world, or just date a woman that we really like, and we want the girl to like us back. That's probably the biggest validation we want as men. When we're little boys and we go on sports team, we're team captains, like what's one of the biggest validations, what's one of the biggest egos that helps us build our confidence and ego? What's one of the biggest things? It's a girl liking us because of what we do. I remember that was just always in high school or middle school, even junior high, when we started like liking girls, like you like pretty girls laughing at your jokes, right? And as you grow older, you feel like it's impossible. You feel like there's a discrepancy from all the guys who get all the girls, which is usually in high school, the high school quarterbacks, the high school athletes, the best of the best, the good looking tall guys. And then me, the short, fat Asian guy, because I was short and fat. And God blessed me later on in my life, but I remember like I thought I was gonna be stuck with, and actually that girl that I really liked and I got heartbroken for, I just got lucky, I remember the moment she actually tried to give me, we call it indicator of interest, to show me that she was interested. She was asking me for rides home, and I remember she would actually come to my house right after school, and I would just be like, okay, I'm gonna take a nap, because I knew it was over between me and her. I always thought it was over, we were just friends. So I would literally bring her to my house, not make a move, and I would go upstairs and sleep. And this happened almost for like 3 months until she was coming over to my house every day, and I was so naive about it. But anyways, that's how naive I was, and I thought there was just there's just the people who get girls, and there's the guys who kind of have to settle, right? And I think a lot of my Asian clients who are watching this, and some of the guys, if you're not Asian, you might feel this too, because I don't want to just totally separate you guys, but we kind of have that, right? Asian guys who are told to be successful, have all the money, whatever, and you'll get all the girls. But I just had a doctor and a lawyer in my boot camp, and even they were learning this. So why I'm telling you that part is to just understand that, the dating coaches, it's not a scam. Especially, I don't think Vader was a scam, just because he really just told me the honest truth. Yeah, obviously I couldn't get my money back, but that's just business. I realize that is business, because and the thing about dating coaches, there's no guarantees, right? Like we always think whenever we invest, even like a business coach or a fitness coach, think about it. Do you have guarantees for those coaches? Like, do you, like when you hire a fitness coach, do you have like a 30-day guarantee that if I lose 10 pounds, like it's rare for a coach to do that. Why? Because if you really think about a fitness coach or a business coach, there's the coach can do so much. And I'm not saying this because I'm a dating coach now. I'm just telling you as a student, like I couldn't, there's the results, he can't be even if he was in my ear and tell me exactly what to say, there's so much language, there's so much energy that you have to be present to the girl, that the results can't be based on just a coach teaching you. But anyways, good story about that was on Saturday, I actually, I did drink at the time because I needed liquid courage, right? I did drink the first night, but the second night I was like, fuck it, I need to drink. And I remember I drank, and before the doctor and me kind of pre-gamed, and he kind of told me good things. And I remember that night I got a kiss on the cheek from a blonde, beautiful, she was an older woman, but I remember she kissed me on the cheek. I never ever thought I would get a kiss on the cheek. And I remember that night I went home and I jumped on my bed, and I remember I got a nice hotel too, because I thought I could bring girls back, having a nice hotel, blah, blah. Guys, I was young and stupid, but I remember I jumped up in the bed, even though I got kissed on the cheek, and I was a little tipsy too, and it felt really good to know that, like I got a girl who wasn't interested in me to be interested in me. And actually looking back, I'm telling you guys stories, I'm reminiscing about that book. It actually went very well. And yeah, it was interesting how I got girls to like me from what I was saying, even though maybe it was a little scripted in the beginning, right? So now fast forward, I already took 2 boot camps, and I could give a shout out to them because both of them I learned something. There's one called Pick Up Asia, and he's learned by Martin, right? He's out there. Gotta give a shout out to him, and I do want to talk about his experience. And I for him, I don't think it was a scam because there's a lot of hate in the pickup community or the dating coach community where every coach is really hurting each other, right? They really talk bad about them, and I'll talk about the Asian dating coaches especially. Like, it's crazy how much gossip is in the back, and I get it. If you find out the coach is genuinely a scam artist and he's manipulating you, I know there is one for sure. There's a coach who you probably heard of him. He got infamous for doing videos in the Philippines and Southeast Asia. He's a white guy teaching white guys and other guys getting girls in Southeast Asia. Like, real talk, bro, like, you don't have game. If you're watching this, I'm not gonna call you out by name because I'm not that kind of guy, but everyone knows who this guy is. He's working with another Asian coach, making videos, and he takes girls to the Philippines, takes guys to the Philippines, Southeast Asia, and tries to get girls there. Like, first of all, you're being disrespectful to women, and just because you think it's easy, because you're a white guy, you're using provider game, using money, you're all using the services, so that's not game. Like, real talk, like, if you're a coach who sells a student that he's gonna learn dating skills, and yet you take him out of your country to get for faster results, right? So, like, for example, there's certain countries that like Korean men or Asian men. So sometimes I do go some of these tours, collaboration. So I actually collab with JT on ABC's Attraction. So I do collab with them, and I do go to Europe sometimes, and I do go to some Latin tour where some of these guys want to meet women outside of America because they struggle in America. But I tell them, I'm always honest with all my clients. I always say, hey, like, just because you got results in Latin America doesn't mean it'll follow through in the city you live. I said, learn what you did well, but just realize it's gonna be harder. So one of my biggest marketing strategies, I could say, because a lot of these dating coaches, that's why it's a scam, right? That's what some coaches are a scam, because they market BS. But for me, I want to actually market the truth. And if you're going to work with me because I tell you the truth and still want to work with me, then at least we have a honest conversation about where you are and where I could take you, right? So go back to Martin. He teaches how to date in actually more upscale, I guess you get more first world countries like Korea, Taiwan, and stuff, and Japan. And he's a black guy, he's a short black guy. And honestly, like, at first I thought he was a scam, to be honest. I was like, man, this guy got no game, but he's a very smart guy. And when I took his stuff, I remember, like, I kind of was pissed because you're right. I, in a weird way, and I did better than him when we went out. But I was also experienced, but also I was Korean and I speak Korean. But he was a black, short guy trying to date girls in Korea. And Korea is one of the most racist countries. And when I saw that he did get some reactions that were positive, and I actually dated some girls. And I remember I was in Taiwan, and his girl, like, it's kind of like this, right? I'm not saying Martin was an unattractive guy, but he's a short black guy with an afro, skinny, whatever. And then I saw his girl. Was his girl the hottest Asian girl I ever seen in my life? No. But for him to date a girl like that from his pure sexual market value, because it's kind of like when you see guys and you're like, oh man, how did he date her? But also you see a good looking guy and like he's settling. So, like, I would say even Martin and all my dating coaches were not the most physically attractive guys. So everyone looks at a dating coach's skill as like, oh, if he gets hottest girls, then he's a great dating coach. No, like, first you need to see is, like, if he's dating girls, what's the discrepancy between the girl's hotness and him? And also, can you replicate? Is he able to actually coach you what he does, right? And I think that's my biggest thing with myself as a dating coach. So I'm not a scam, is can I teach what I do? Like, for example, my biggest strengths is Instagram and online dating, and also how to look good in fashion, and also, being more physically attractive. A lot of students have doubts with me because, like, I have muscles and all this stuff. But what I do is I focus on the student's strengths, right? If he's overweight, what fashion can I use to make his overweight look less overweight, and that kind of stuff. But can they actually replicate my tone, my body language, all that stuff? So actually what I do is I teach my stuff, but I try to make it to students. And I think one thing for sure that I learned a lot positive from Martin from Pick Up Asia was that he was so smart and he just explained the logical part of game. Right? So where we mess up when it comes to game is we're too emotional, right? Because why does a rejection, like, when we do sales, right? I remember one of my clients, when I used to work for JT, he said that he'd rather jump on a grenade than cold approach a girl because he's so scared about the rejection from a girl. Like he's a military soldier or whatever. And I remember, why are men so scared more from women rejections than guy rejections? Like when a guy rejects us, we don't care, right? When a guy says, I don't want to hang out with you, we're like, all right, F you, I don't want to hang out with you either. But when a girl rejects you, why does it hurt? Because I can't really explain it, but obviously it's the man to woman energy and probably the mating culture. But like when a girl rejects you, right? Also, what's the worst? When you're an attractive guy and also an unattractive girl that you think is less attractive than you rejects you, right? Let's say you think you're attractive in some kind of way, but a less attractive girl that you're not really attracted to rejects you, even that hurts a lot. You're like, what? And your ego hurts more. So it's funny how that works, right? But what I loved about the Pickup Asia is what they taught me very logically. Everything was broken down and there was a science behind it. And I think he was so smart that he explained that very well. So I was able to think about, like, I remember one of the biggest things he told me is, stop making out with the girl in public. So a lot of dating coaches are like, oh, make out with the girl, in public or in the club or whatever. But I'm like, and a lot of guys do this, right? I don't make out with a girl in public. Like, oh, but like, let's say the country's more open. I still don't. You know why? Because why make out in public? If I know she's not going to be with me that night or intimate with me that night, I want her to think what it's like to kiss me. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying I'm a bad kisser, but real talk, you gotta understand, girls love imaginations. They love storylines. So when they're dating a guy and they end up liking the guy, you know, you don't want to burst that bubble so fast. Because remember, back in the day, dating took time, right? Now dating's so fast, but you kind of want to go back to the roots, right? You want to take time dating girls, because what happens is if you take time making out with the girl, right? Everyone remembers that first kiss, right? And then girls always talk about the first kiss. So what happens is if you take time and don't kiss her just at a random place, at a bar or whatever, you can make it memorable. So, you know, I always try to kiss her in private, right? So that's one thing he taught me when I was in Asia, and I learned a lot. So the reason why, like, I could tell that wasn't a scam is because I actually learned something from him, right? I actually was able to break down something, and I could tell, yeah, he did marketing where he you know, and it was kind of my own fault. I'm not saying this to like make him look good, because honestly we're not collaborators at all. But I think one thing I failed to realize is I used to be young and I used to think that a good dating coach is only a guy who gets the most beautiful women. And I think that's the worst scam of all. When a dating coach, you know, this was a scam for a couple other dating coaches where they used models, they used fake models, and like they put them in just to like do that. I think that's the worst. I rather just, you know, it's interesting because there are dating coaches who are using less attractive women too, but it's just, I think it's like, understand what they're saying more than like the outside, right? See who they are inside. What are they teaching? What are their concepts when it comes to dating the women, right? So now let's talk about my last coach that I work with now, who I'm collabing with, JT of ABC Attraction. So he's kind of like the OG when it comes to Asian dating coaches, right? A lot of people talk about him, and a lot of people talk bad about him. And there's a lot of students who really talk very positive of him, and there's a lot of students who talk very bad about him. So for me, I'm always a learner, and actually, Martin from Pickup Asia is the one who told me to take one with JT. And I remember JT, here's the thing, one thing about ABCs, like, he's a great businessman. And I think that sometimes, like, I think a lot of students who come to me or even JT, they like think like we're not a business. We're still a business, right? And I kind of failed. Like, I used to cost only $600, right? And it's funny how when I used to cost so little, like, students will not treat what I teach like they would not memorize it. And I get it, because it's $600, it's cheap, and that's why we bought it. But students literally subconsciously diminish my value in coaching, what I was teaching. And my thing, like, because I remember one of my date routines that I literally teach till this day. I gave it a couple of my wingmen back in the day, and they literally didn't even read it and they didn't even follow it. And it was funny because one of my friends actually ended up doing my course recently, and I literally gave that to him for free 5 years ago. And then I taught him this time now more strategically, and now he's doing so well, right? So anyways, long story short, what I'm trying to say is, you know, now that my last bootcamp with JT is like, JT is a great marketer, he's a great businessman, but he's also a great beginner coach, right? A lot of guys look at JT and like, you know, some guys worked with him because, you know, he's actually losing a lot of weight, but he was overweight, and because of his sexual market value is low, but he's still getting beautiful girls, so that's why, you know, they work with him. And then sometimes, like, I took a boot camp with him too, right? So I remember when I kind of went to a boot camp with him, you know, I kind of questioned some things too, But now that I am a dating coach myself, and honestly, like me and JT collab where I help him out, and I'm an assistant coach for him at times when we go to these tours. Actually, we're in a partnership more. I would say that I'm not assistant coach as much for him, but when I have, when I want to do tours too, we do a partnership. But one thing that I realized about, now that I'm a dating coach, I realized all the little nuances that comes with it. So I used to be too nice of a coach, all right? I used to give free services. I was just doing free. I would go extra miles. I would go out for extra 2 hours. And the thing is, JT did that too. But, one thing that I realized with me and JT and some of the coaches that I personally with, we never had egos when it comes to students. So biggest thing that I hear crazy stories about some coaches who literally steal their students' girls. So once they get off 2 a.m., they would literally be in a group set with the student and they would steal the girls. Hey, well, I'm off, so I'm off, show go. Like, I think one thing that separates me and JT at least is that we have a bigger vision than just dating, right? We want Asian men to see, yes, our clients are not only Asian, but our biggest thing is we want our Asian brothers to all be better in dating so we don't have to deal with the stigma. And it kind of, I guess in a weird way for me, I want a legacy for my kids, my son, to not struggle in a world where it's dominated by, white supremacy and white man modernism and all that stuff. I want Asian guys just to be considered attractive. So we have a bigger vision than that. But is it true that Love Sisters Fader, Pick Up Asia, Martin, and JT, they always get the hottest girls? No, guys. Like, here's the truth. This is where I'm gonna tell you the truth. And even me, I don't get Victoria's Secret models consistently. Like if you went out with me and I said free trial, we go out to do you think I'll get the hottest girl to come back home with me? No. There's a higher chance I can, but I could bring back a girl, but she might not be the most physically attractive. And that's why, when you actually go learn from a dating coach, you gotta manage your expectations. It's crazy how when it comes to dating, people have the craziest expectations of these boot camps. And I did too, because I was a student just like you. I used to think that, remember my first boot camp, I used to think if I just look at a girl, she'll love me, right? I just look and she'll I stay the line and she'll come to me. But after all these years, I think I'm almost 10 years in the industry in terms of being a student. I was a student probably for 8 years and I became a coach for now almost 2 years, 3 years. I learned so much because, let's go back to the main question, right? Is our dating coaches a scam? Like I said, it's a yes and a no. You kind of have to figure out what coach is good for you. I do think the coach has to be relatable. So I'm not saying Asian guys should always go for Asian dating coaches, but as an Asian guy, if you're 5'6" and your coach is 6'4" white guy, and he does some things where you're like, huh? Or even if it's an Asian guy who's 6'4" and jacked, right? Is he actually molding, especially if you're paying $6,000 to $10,000 to $20,000, whatever, is he actually molding the game for you? Because I think with me, so JT teaches more of the basics, but when I go more advanced, I try to figure out what are the attractive qualities of the student that I could kind of teach to bring out using my tactics or my strategies, right? So, I personally think dating coaches are not a scam, depending on the coach you work with. But if the coach genuinely wants to help you and the coach, genuinely wants to make you successful and he cares more about your success than his. Like for me, one thing I love, I was just talking to a student who signed up for another Instagram thing with me. For me, if I'm gonna criticize a student, I'm gonna make sure I have a solution for him, right? Like people, if you just hear a coach criticize you on a sales call or something, just realize that he's just trying to break you down. For me, even if the student does sign up with them, I'm gonna give him something to go. And it's not just a freebie. It's just I think, does the coach care is the most important thing, because if the coach doesn't care, what it becomes is just a transactional relationship. Why do we hate, gold diggers or girls who just want to use us for money, especially if you're a very successful guy right now? It's because it's just transactional relationship. So me as a dating coach, when I really work with a student, my number one goal is how do I, make what I learned, what I do, how do I make him replicate it in his own kind of way for him to show how attractive he is, right? It's funny because a lot of my students say they have similar Instagrams like me. The photo editing is a little bit the same, but I've been getting better as a coach, and I try to make the student look good as the student, not as Captain Daniel Kim, right? But does he actually care about your results? So for me, I genuinely, it's actually a thankless job, dating coach thing, because a lot of students, they hide the fact that they learned from a dating coach. So when a student gets a girlfriend, they say thank you in the moment, and a couple months later, they don't even message you. And I still haven't been invited to a marriage, so it's kind of sad I haven't. But I understand why they might not invite me to a marriage or a wedding. But I get it, it's pretty taboo still, right? It's cancel culture and all that stuff. But I know for me, at least for myself, and the people who I partner with, like JT, we do care. Like, at least I'll speak for myself. I care. Like, I think it's also rewarding to see someone use what you teach it's like a student, right? To see him succeed with what I taught him. But eventually, I want my student to succeed. Like, I want, eventually, maybe the student will take over the master, right? So maybe if he takes over me, as long as he's not cocky about it, I'm okay. Because there's some students, he wasn't personally mine, but he got way too overconfident, and he tried to try to think that he was doing better than me, and was really showing off. But he was actually another coach's student, and he tried to show me off. But I think he was just trying to get validation from me too. But other than that, I do want all my Asian brothers or clients to succeed. I generally mean that, and whoever's watching this and thinking about hiring a dating coach, just be aware that even though you're gonna spend money, right? Like, everything costs money. Like, if you really think about it, I've been actually learning from coaches, not only dating coaches. I actually learned from fitness coaches. I learned from a mental health coach that I paid almost $3,000 a month, $3,000 US a month for 12 months, learning from that coach. So I work with enough coaches. And the thing about anything coaching, guys, unless it's like the coach does it exactly for you, a lot of the results are based on you. It's really based on your work. And I know that's what you don't want to hear. And I know a lot of these guys who want to work with a dating coach, you want us to just get the results for you. But you have to be honest with yourself. There's no industry in the coaching industry, fitness, whatever it's called, where it's a guaranteed result. Why? Because you actually have to do the work. If you want to maintain a ripped body, like I had hired fitness coaches until I fully accepted that I gotta stop having cheat days. I gotta learn how to control my cravings. I gotta do all that. I gotta do the work. And I had to figure out a lifestyle that works for me. That's when I actually got the body, kept the body, right? Or business. I used to think I'm still scared about hiring business coaches because I charge this money and they say they could make it twofold, and they do have some guarantees with asterisks, but I still have to wake up and put on the post. There's no company that'll do all the marketing for me. So, but dating coach is probably the one industry 100% where a lot of it has to do with what you do. Like, you need to go pull the trigger. You need to go for the kiss. You need to do it. Like, I could talk to your ear. Let's say there's technology where I can talk to your ear, but in the end, you have to do the work. So I think dating coach for me, because it is my life and it is my job and I really love doing it, I really love my clients, I don't think it's a scam. I think there's people who genuinely want to help you. Because for me, if I help you date beautiful women and you eventually you find one girl that you really like, it actually helps me out because you're an Asian guy, I'm an Asian guy, and she, this is how people are. We're prejudiced, right? They'll generalize that Asian guys are awesome. That's how you see, no offense, but black guys in Japan, they're popular in Japan, or black guys, they all think they have big, big things because of this. But not every black guy is a big thing. So I kind of want to create a positive, I guess, effect for Asian men too. And it's not that, the biggest thing, and I also want to talk to the women viewers who are watching this, right? You're thinking like, oh man, this guy's a PUA, pickup artist, and he's just trying to manipulate women. That's not what I do. And you could ask all my clients, I can't share them, but I don't teach lying. Because actually, what does lying do? If I teach a student to lie and manipulate girls, what does that do when the girl finds out? It actually destroys the student's reputation, but also an Asian man's reputation. So if you actually listen to what I say, and people will catch snippets of it just like they did with other podcasters or YouTubers and try to make me look bad possibly, but I'm telling the truth. Like, for me, I don't want to teach manipulation. I don't want to teach lying. I don't want to teach this fake seduction thing that some, coaches actually do teach. And that's why I said dating coach is a scam, yes and a no, because if I teach fake stuff, right, and lying and bad stuff, taboo stuff that why girls don't like dating coaches, it's because it just gives a bad reputation to not only me, my legacy as a person, a human being, and as a coach, but also to my students, but to kind of the whole male race, right, of Asian men. So if everyone knows, especially my closest friends, my clients, they know me that my true purpose is to make Asian men sexy. That's literally it. My goal in life is to make Asian men sexy and attractive. Why would I do that? So I hope you guys watch this, make sure you comment, subscribe, all that stuff. But, let me hear your thoughts on this because, have you been scammed by a dating coach? Comment below, and, for me, I was a student, so I totally get it when you guys are researching and do your research. I'm not saying just sign up with my way. That's why I said always on these videos, get on a call with me and see if I'm the good coach for you. And most importantly, can I actually help you? Can I actually help you get the results that you want in the way you want it? And, because I actually had a student who I started working with and I really wanted to help him, but him and my personality didn't match. And I told him, but dude, there's no refunds. Like, there's no way I'm gonna give him a full refund when he already was in 2 to 3 weeks into coaching with me. But you know, he actually just said it didn't work, and he actually was willing to say like, I can't work with you. And I'm opening up to you to tell you that sometimes my coaching ways are very intense, and I try to work with the student, but I'm also all about results. Like, that's why I know I'm not a scam, because I want to produce results, and at some point I have to be hard on you. You also don't want a nice coach, and that's one thing. JT is definitely not the nicest coach, where he just tells you honestly what you got to do, and you also need a coach to do that, right? You don't need a coach who's just trying to milk money from you, so he's always nice to you, so he makes you feel good. You also need a coach to say, what the heck are you doing? You're getting fatter day by day. You're not eating healthy. You need a coach to tell you, F your feelings right now, you need to do this. You're not doing this, you're gonna fail. And you know, this student kind of couldn't handle it at that point, and he, you know, we stopped working together. But you know, I used to feel bad about this stuff, but I'm still learning as a businessman and coach. But you know, that was kind of hard because you know, he did pay me, and I want to give him a service. You know, one of my friends keeps telling me, I gotta be a shark. You gotta be a shark, bro. You gotta be a shark. And you know, I can be a shark, but I also can be a baby shark, I guess you could say. But yeah, like I said, guys, get on a call with me if you want this more explained, and see if you're actually looking for a dating coach. Have me in your research. Talk with me, or you could join my Facebook group. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, because I'll be posting the honest truth about all this. And I don't want to expose the dating industry. I want to just tell the truth about how we can actually help. And there's people who genuinely want to help you. Captain Daniel Kim out.